Throwback to when the CEO cried during my interview. This actually happened to me several years ago, right when the COVID pandemic hit and I was looking for tech-related internships. I never got to tell this story to anyone and recently was reminded about it. So I decided to post it here. This was probably the craziest job experience I have ever had. I will state facts that happened, and state that I am not making any of this up, nor am I embellishing it to make it seem worse than it actually was. This is what really happened. Got interviewed by CEO. During the interview, he said he hadn't read my resume and was interested in getting to know each other. Most of the interview was him going on unrelated rants, and went into uncomfortable political and personal territory. He disclosed his sexuality, gay, and said he was looking to hire someone who would be okay with that. He pressured me a lot about my personal political views and how I leaned. I lean liberal, but I didn't see how that was relevant to the position. Eventually he told me about his boyfriend and his personal relationship problems and fights they had about different industry opinions. He himself hates big tech companies while his boyfriend wanted to work for one, and that caused fights between them. He rolled his eyes a lot while talking about his boyfriend. At some point during the interview he started crying. Yes, really. I am not making this up. And it was bizarre. Big fat tears rolling down his cheeks. Eyes red. He badmouthed his own employees. We spoke about software engineers and he told me he thinks all programmers have a god complex. His own words. He brought up one of his own software engineer employees and rolled his eyes in front of me while telling me how stuck up, full of himself, and opinionated his employee was. He also badmouthed my degree, math, when I told him what I was studying, and said something along the lines of, "Mathematicians don't know how to solve real-world problems." I felt like I had to defend myself. I still got hired and their emails congratulating me were extremely condescending and gave an air of, "You should be thankful we chose you." I was given new hire Adobe paperwork. Locked. Unable to be signed electronically. Not having access to a printer or scanner. This employer required me to go somewhere to pay out of pocket to print and scan these documents. During a pandemic lockdown, because they were unable to send me paperwork I could sign electronically. It took me one weekend to get this done, but it was not fast enough for them. He also said that since I am a computer person, actual words, I should have been able to find a way to sign the paperwork electronically. These documents had been locked and encrypted, and I spent 2 hours trying to sign them electronically before finally giving up and emailing, saying I'd have to print them. He called me that Monday morning while I was showering and immediately emailed me telling me my employment was being terminated due to not responding to his phone call promptly enough and due to not submitting the new hire paperwork in a timely manner. This even after I had emailed the HR person to let her know of the circumstances and why I could not have done it sooner. He accused me of being late for my first day of work, which is a blatant lie, as it was a video call that I logged into 15 minutes prior to the start time. He did not see my face until 1 minute before the start time, thus deemed me late. I was expected to reply to emails on a Sunday at 10 p.m. I suspect they let me go mainly due to the pandemic and didn't have the galls to say so, thus found reasons to blame me instead. Otherwise, the reasoning given was just so off the wall. Finally, I was told I'd get a check in the mail for my first day of work, no later than April 15, 2020 inches. It was past May 10th before I got the check. I should not have expected any amount of decency whatsoever from this company. This man was a stuck-up, judgmental, ignorant fool. Being let go from this company was probably the biggest blessing in disguise I have ever had. The cherry of top was the fact he hired me as an intern to do a full-time job. For intern pay, hired me as a QA lead position, as there was literally no one else in the company who did QA. For internship pay, it was very clear he was trying to pay way less for the job he need done. So yeah, huge bullet dodged. I take it he is no longer a CEO? The stuff he brought up during an interview is the stuff HR people have nightmares about. Like really? WTF. He sounds condescending and narcissistic. How does a walking red flag, our circus tent, found a successful company? You should have hunted down his significant other and told him everything he said. Open mouth smile. I would have ended the interview when he steered the conversation into sexuality, race, color, national origin, religion, sex, sexual orientation, disability, age, or ancestry or IIRC. In fact, illegal to ask an interviewee about. More than that, though, it feels like sexual harassment a bit, and not a good way to establish a employer-employee relationship. Depends on how it came up, I guess. Someone who would be okay with that. Seems like he's interviewing people he might want an office affair with, not an employee. When you ignored his phone call and he panic terminated you, it was probably him feeling emotionally rejected. Not wanting you to do paperwork electronically is such a power trip. Maybe he just wanted an excuse to see you in person again. Tip for one-party consent states: record your interviews. I had to sign a document electronically, which meant using a script font where my name went. Lol, programmers do have a god complex though.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.